clapping is only just for syncing it up and everything.
Fair enough, yeah.
Because it's not even a lazy thing. It's just
Yeah.
it just helps me on the post production and all that.
What software do you use to edit these?
Well, it just depends. Like with this, because it's 2 audio tracks, aka why we have 2 XLRs,
Yeah.
and it's split up. I edit the video first,
Okay.
and then just take whatever I have there and just
Fair enough.
take the MP3. So like for what we did down there, I'll take it into Audition.
Okay.
I do Audition. See, I did Logic Pro,
Mm-hmm.
but I said, all right, this is too complex for me. I said, let's simplify it.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm trying to learn something that doesn't really make too much sense to me right yet. But
Yeah.
so I said, all right, let me do Audition. I know that.
Yeah.
And then I also bought a preset too. It's like a vocal preset that like kind of handles the. It's funny. It's like country, and then it's like Morgan Wallen vocal.
Yeah.
but there's nothing wrong. Like the thing that was cool about it was that I liked was it had the reverb pretty much to where like you could just tweak it to like you want
fair
more or want less.
Yeah, but it's like a pretty good spot already.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's like you're just tweaking it. And I'm like, that's what I need. I'm
Yeah.
like, give me that to where I just need to tweak it.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I've fallen in love for my videos and stuff. I'll use DaVinci Resolve. It's a free program.
I like
and What I
DaVinci.
love about it is it has an automatic sync via waveform.
Mm.
So I don't have to clap at all. It just takes my phone. I'll record, let's say, with my phone for the video, and then it'll record the audio track, of course, and then I may have another phone or something to record, the audio.
Mhm.
Like that's how I did it on those really old videos I did a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
And so then I would go into DaVinci Resolve, sync via waveform, boom,
Really.
done for me.
That's fascinating.
Save me so much time.
Well,
Because I'm not smart enough to do the clap and then...
well, I've learned that at an early age, or doing this. I'm like, let's save me just enough headache.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy, man. Like production and music is just fascinating. But before we get into that, what's going on, everybody? This is Mudflap from Mudflap Outdoors. Welcome back to the Broken Down Podcast. If you hadn't already figured it out, I got a new guest here, and this is a man that I met probably about 2 hours ago. So we've had a couple conversations throughout the 2 hours, but this right here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to butcher your name, so I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, howdy, folks. My name is Joshua Michael Woods. I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just moved to Auburn, Alabama about 9 months ago and playing music. It's been a good time.
And that's the fascinating thing of why we're here. And, right when you got here, we talked for about 20, 30 minutes about music and all that.
Yes,
and we'll get back into that.
Yeah.
But, man, I just want to recap just those broke down sessions that we did.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, the best way I can explain your voice is almost like a Chris Ledoux,
Fair enough.
Marty Robbins, Charlie Crockett's. It's that storytelling Western style, like a Culture Wall.
Ooh, I love him.
How I look at it. I mean, again, I let you listen to I think they're called the Cruz Brothers, and I said, this is identical to your voice and your sound and everything, and
man.
it's great.
Yeah.
Because now that traditional style and that Western style of country music and really music in general
Yes,
is
sir.
coming back, because everyone's tired of the bro country, everyone's tired of the contemporary, and they want an alternative. They want that outlaw sound again.
Yeah.
And, it's funny, Chris Dewberry, he's the one that he brought up your name, and then another person also brought up your name too, and I always had your name in the back in my mind. So when you DM'd me, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, we got to do this.
That's
This has to
perfect,
happen.
man. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that Chris had posted on his Instagram that he was on a podcast, and I was like, damn, that looks good. So I started watching and listening, and I was like, I need to be there. It's like, this guy knows what he's doing. I got to be there. And so I contacted you, DM'd you, and it worked out, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently, my friends were conspiring behind my back to help me out. It's great.
Well, it's always good to have friends in low places and friends in high places
Yes,
too.
sir.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing. I guess where I want to start this conversation is why music.
Why music? Why me, Lord? I don't know. So I guess why music? I've been listening to music my whole life, but everybody has. But I think why I got into music was, I guess I was always a creative person. I grew up, I loved Legos. I loved, different things like playing Minecraft. And one of my favorite things was building in creative mode because, you just can do anything. And so it allowed that creativity to flourish. And eventually, my granddad just gave me a guitar. He was like, here, let's see what you do with it. And so I picked around on it a little bit, and I was messing on it one day, and I started trying to learn the riff to Folsom Prison Blues. And when I got that riff down, it was a simple riff, but it was the first thing I ever learned on guitar. When I got that down and realized that I could make a noise that sounded good and that sounded like the record, no holds barred, I fell in love. It was just like a life-changing moment in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly why I love music. I don't know what led me to it, but I guess just the circumstances or the way that God made me, whichever one it is, here I am.
Right.
And, but
no, see, the thing that fascinates me about you, because all day today,
yeah, I am quite fascinating.
But like what fascinates me about you is not only your voice, but it's your songwriting, man. It's that storytelling. It's that, like, the best way I can explain it is that old school Western storytelling. It's the best. The other way I can explain it is, I can explain the situation better. It's like there's 5 people, I'll even go this route. 5 cowboys sitting around a fire.
Yeah.
They're just getting ready. They're about to, like, herd cattle and everything the next day at 3 a.m., all that kind of stuff. And they're sitting around. They have nothing. There's no technology, nothing or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just those 5 people and a guitar. And they're going around telling these, it's almost folklore, kind of songwriting. And
it's like the Western archetype.
Yeah, and I guess that's the part that just fascinates me about you is that storytelling. How did you tap into that storytelling?
Tap in? What do you mean?
So like, it's interesting because, again, it just reminds me of just that old school vintage cowboy storytelling, almost like murder ballads, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So how did you tap into it? What was your inspiration? Kind of,
I guess
elaborate on that.
Yeah. So my inspiration definitely early on, I always loved, for whatever reason, I found I love the stuff that has to do with death. I love the stuff that has to do with murder and life and redemption and salvation. And I'm a Christian, and so I'm pretty comfortable with the ideas of death and salvation and life and all that. And so the songs that I would really kind of go back to every time, I'd listen to pop music, but when I really was wanting good music, I would listen to folks like Doc Watson, Leonard Skinner, and a lot of the old Western stuff too, the Marty Robbins and Johnny Cash's Western albums and his albums in the 60s. And, Doc Watson especially, the bluegrass tradition has a lot of the murder ballads. It's like, hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. You killed little Lori Foster, and now you're bound to die. And that was the recounting of stories that were just in the area, News happened, write a song about it. And that carried over to the West, and for whatever reason, that's just the music that I really came to love, the stuff that told a story and usually had to do with death.
Fascinating, because obviously, death is just kind of that unique topic. So, like,
yes.
how do you bring, I don't even want to say entertaining, because, obviously music is entertainment, and,
Yes,
and it's your way to disconnect from reality or anything. But, like, I guess for you, how are you able to kind of morph that, kind of touch around that, that like kind of a topic like that, or really any topic?
Yeah.
Really.
That's a very good question. I think a good example would be that song Whiskey Hair.
Mm-hmm.
So my eyes see the amber, I think, because that song, I'll spoil the song for everybody, but that song is pretty much, you fall in love with this girl, and her dad has an old, 1953 car. I don't know what kind of car, whichever one the listener wants it to be, I suppose. But you're just, driving around this old 53, and, it's a beautiful time, a beautiful summer maybe. But eventually, later in the song, you find out that she passes away. And it sounds like in a car accident. And But so then it recounts, just missing, I guess, the side of her whiskey hair blowing in the wind when they were driving in that convertible. But I think the way that I can take a topic like death and not make it too dark or too cheesy or forced, because I find a lot of not a lot, but some of the songs I've heard, some certain musicians, certain songwriters will take a dark topic and try to write a song about it because they want the look at me, I'm tough, I talk about death and stuff, I'm dark and mysterious. And I never wanted to sound like that. I never wanted to sound like, oh, look at me, look at how dark and mysterious I am. So I tried to take the stories and make them real, make them kind of somber without crossing the line of getting too cliche or using too many archetypes,
Yeah. So just to even go dig a little bit deeper there, what's your songwriting process? Because again, we're talking about like a topic of death.
Yeah.
Again, it's that I'll just say it just for the continuation of this interview is it's a Western storytelling type of songwriting. So what is your process?
My process, yeah. It usually starts with a line. So most commonly, I'll be just going throughout my life, and I'll either hear a line or I'll think of a line. One of them, interesting story. I've always felt, though I'm a Christian, I've always felt sadder coming out of church than when I went in, which is the opposite of what it's supposed to be. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because everybody's always been welcoming to me everywhere I go. I have a loud personality, so people see me, but then they welcome me. But when I used to live up in Gainesville, Georgia, and I'd go to a little, this little church out in the country in Claremont, Georgia. And I was leaving church one day, I think it was after a Wednesday night service, and I thought of the line, "It's hard to sing a happy song anymore." And I was like, okay, that's a song. There's a song in there. And so I wrote a song called "It's Hard to Sing a Happy Song Anymore." But the process of that, so after I get the initial line, then I'll just start working on it. I'll just start, I may find, let's say, the key. So let's say I want to play it in D or E or something, just wherever my voice sits at the moment in the time when I was writing it is where I'll go. So if I'll just start, "It's hard to sing a happy song anymore." So that's the key of D, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll just carry on from there, whatever sounds right next. And I usually don't have a whole song figured out before I start writing it. I write it and then let the next step be a natural progression. And that's why I sometimes don't even name songs until after they're finished, because I don't even always know what they're going to be about until I finish them. But I just start with maybe a line, and it's like, okay, that's kind of a story there. What can I do with it? And then next chorus. Okay, that works. And there's usually some naps in there too.
That's fascinating, because I again, like kind of what we talked about earlier off camera is my love for music, and I'm fascinated about everyone's philosophies, their songwriting structure of how they their process and everything. So that's fascinating, because I mean everyone is generally similar in that case, but again like I could sit everyone that I've interviewed and everyone that I know, I could sit all y'all in separate rooms and say, "Hey, here's 3 lines."
Yeah.
And then y'all run with it, and y'all run with it in 5 different ways, 7 different ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of music is it's endless, possibilities.
Yeah, and I heard an incredible, so it was on Instagram, it was a reel with Rick Rubin. He was being interviewed. And Rick Rubin is a famous producer. He produced the Beastie Boys back in the day. He produced Aerosmith and Run DMC. He produced Johnny Cash, the American recordings. Mm-hmm. That was all Rick Rubin producing. And he was talking about AI. And why he thinks AI will never be able to replace human songwriters and musicians is because AI doesn't have perspective. Because AI is just all the information ever, then it ends up having one perspective on, the information. And likewise, what he was saying was, if Google, if OpenAI, if X, and all them are all trying to create an AI that just it's trained on all of the same information, eventually they're all going to come to agreement on, what they're looking at. There's a possum up in that tree, by the way. But, saw it moving.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah,
All right.
it's great. But anyway, and so he thinks the reason why AI will never be able to write songs to the caliber that humans can is because because we can't know everything, we all know just a little tiny sliver of life, and therefore we have perspective on it. You know, like what you were saying, if you give the same line to 3 songwriters, because they've lived 3 different lives, they're going to come up with 3 entirely different stories. But if you gave this one line to, all these AI, they're probably going to come up with a similar story because they're basing it on the exact same information.
That's fascinating. So, I guess speaking on AI, what's your perspective on AI in songwriting?
AI and songwriting. I completely avoid it with my songwriting, and I recommend that other people completely avoid it as well. My personal opinion on AI is I don't think it's something to shun. I use AI for certain things. I love it for research purposes. But when it comes to art, I think the beauty of art is that it was human-made. And I kind of look at it like I look at genetically modified food. And I even tried contacting my congressman back in Gainesville, Georgia about this years ago to put some legislation forth about, I think everybody ought to have the right to make art using AI. But what I think it ought to be is you ought to have to label it. Like you label GMO versus non-GMO food legally. I also wonder if we should have to legally, label art. Was this human-made or was this made via AI? Mm-hmm. And so then you can still do whatever you want. However, it gives the consumer the opportunity to decide, is this something I want to consume? Do I want my art to be created solely by humans, or am I all right with it being created also by AI?
I never thought of it like that but it's interesting because I want to expand on that. Obviously, Randy Travis.
Yeah.
He's putting out music.
Yes, sir.
And using a voice surrogate, basically.
Yes, sir.
I guess what's your perspective in that terms? Like with something. I mean, obviously, I'm using Randy Travis as an example, but like artists using their voice without actually using their voice.
Yeah. I wouldn't ever talk about Randy Travis, and I think he's in a great position to use AI because he physically cannot sing like he used to. I think he has a very good reason to use AI. Now, if you were talking about another musician who was like, "Oh, I don't want to go into the studio, so we're just going to have AI do it for me," I'd be hesitant to say that's a good idea. I think the labor of art is what makes it, is part of what makes it so great. The labor of the love. It's hard to do, and it's hard to produce an album, and it's hard to mix an album and master an album, and it's hard to learn how to sing and hard to do all these things. But because it's so hard, that's what makes it so great. The accomplishment is much greater if you work for it. And I think if people are going to just start, write me a song, okay, now produce it with this voice, okay, good, sell it. That's like, it loses the magic of it. But at the same time, I think a lot of pop music is going to be AI, because I think the average person, all they're looking for is, does it sound good? Cool, we're good to go. But I think there's going to be enough people in the future that are going to be like, yeah, AI is cool, but I want my music to be made by humans.
And I just keep going back to, it's that Western style of storytelling that you're doing. You can't get that through AI, but you know what? You can do. I like a truck. I like the fish. I like this. I like that. And then guess what? You're now top 10. In country music charts, whatever. But like, so that make it. It's just fascinating, the aspect of AI. Helping out, because again, like if you listen to Morgan Wallen's album, obviously none of it's AI. But he has, I think, a total of 17 songwriters on there for accredited. And I mean, again, it kind of makes sense when there's 40 songs to his like album or double album, And
37 or something, yeah.
And I guess that's another perspective that I want to kind of dig deeper with you. And then after that, we just may go off the rails with this whole conversation.
Fair enough, yeah.
But like, if you had, I guess, all the money in the world, anything and everything, had all the money in the world, you had the best producers, best this, best that, that's the scenario, right? How would you distribute your music? Because I'll just say the Morgan Wallen aspect, where he does the 40, songs in one album, and then 2 years later, he may put out another 40 song album and he'll tour on that per se, right? Or you have the Gavin Adcock model, which is like I'm gonna do a song a month that's going out, and then eventually repackage it as a album.
Interesting.
Or you do the EP route and repackage it. It's just fascinating because I like hearing everyone's perspectives. Because some people said if I had all the money in the world, I'd do a 40, song album. I'm like, well, I mean, there's no wrong answer. I'm just more curious.
I think from what I've seen nowadays, the most efficient thing to do is do one song at a time and then repackage it as an album. The artists on social media that I've seen really take off, they do that. So they'll maybe have a studio recording or just film, reels and stuff with their phone or something. But it'll be one song, and they'll have like 30 reels over, 30 days or something of that one song. And then it creates tons of hype. They release a song. And then they repeat that with another song. So it makes every song a single, and it makes, every song, it gives the audience opportunity to digest it as they go along rather than just saying, here's 40 songs. Spreading it out, I think, allows people to really appreciate it, because then there's no B-side. There's no, it's B-side, I'm not listening to that. I'm just listening to the singles. Everything's a single.
And it also helps because, or at least in my opinion, it helps because, again, if you listen to like a Morgan Wallen 40-song album, there's about 20 of those songs that sound exactly the same.
I couldn't even tell you because I've listened to zero.
Yeah, well, but again, it's like, I think that's the beauty of like, I think the sweet spot of like an album, somewhere between like 9 and 12 songs.
9 and 12 songs.
Kind of right around there. I think that's a sweet spot because you have enough variety, but also there's going to be enough distance between album to, album A to album B.
Yes, sir.
To where it's like, there's no way to connect both of them, because not only that, life happens between those two albums per se, or the EP, whatever it is. So like you may write a similar song, but it's going to sound completely different, because your mindset's different.
Yeah. And I did a poll with musicians a couple years ago because I was trying to figure that out myself. What is the most popular duration of an album? And what I found a lot of people saying was about 40 to 50 minutes, maybe 50 to an hour, but about 40 to 50 minutes was the most popular that people enjoy listening to themselves. I've always thought records that were, 25 to 35 minutes, those were just too short. It's like make it an EP or something. But apparently that was standard back in the day. But nowadays, but then anything over an hour, and it's like, is that a record or is that a compilation? Is that like is that what they do for the greatest hits, or is this a record I'm supposed to listen to in one sitting? Because that's what I like to do. Is when an artist like Cody Jinks, I love his records. When he puts out a record, I listen to it start to finish, and I'll usually like turn off the lights, lay in my bed, phone on my chest, just listening to it.
Okay, so we're going to dive deeper in this,
because
you piqued my interest.
Fair enough.
I'm a huge Cody Jinks fan. Huge.
He's good people. I like him.
I mean, Cody. I'm just saying, names are great. But I've seen Cody Jinks 4 times.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I saw him. First time I saw him was in Coleman, Alabama, at Rock the South, and he was an opener. So it was just Adobe Sessions, and I think, oh man, I'm going to butcher the one. It was the one right after Adobe.
Okay, so I think it was like Les Wise, and then Adobe Sessions, and then might have been After the Fire.
No, it wasn't After the Fire. It's I think it's I'm Not the Devil. Yeah, that album.
Yeah.
So I did. So I saw him there, and I mean, again, me and my girlfriend at the time, we just got the cheapest tickets, and that's all. That's the only person I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I saw Riley Green there.
Hell yeah.
When he was opening, saw Muscadine Bloodline there as they were opening, and now obviously everyone's doing their thing. But I saw Cody, and I was like, everyone's like, oh, this is good. All I knew was Loud and Heavy. That's all they knew, and I was like, I was just rocking out. I was like, all right, we in it now. But then the second time was in Montgomery, Alabama. And it was at this railroad station. It was like right by the railroad tracks, and it was like a Saturday night or something. And I remember it was Ward Davis that opened for him.
Nice.
So Ward Davis, I love him to death too. And Cody Jinks went out there, and it was freezing, it was sleeting, it was just so bad. And I was like, Oh man! And so I'm standing there, and there was only 70 people he played in front of, and it's the band. And
Damn, so you got to see.
I saw
Cody
him.
Jinks.
I saw him.
You can see the wrinkles in his face,
dude. I mean, he had his like little toboggan beanie on. Everyone was freezing. You can see the warm breath. And so,
do you remember what year that was?
Oh, that 2016.
Okay, I'll
So-
have to tell you after you finish with this.
So
gotta
I
tell you.
did. So what made me a fan of his was when I think the promoter was like, "Hey man, we only got like, it's raining, it's sleeting, probably like we can reschedule, we can cancel whatever." And Cody, I'll keep it G-rated. But Cody was like,
Are we supposed to keep it G-rated here?
No, you don't have to, but I'll just keep it
Fair
G-rated
enough.
for this story.
Yeah.
Based on the word he said. But he was like, "Hey, did you sell any tickets?" And promoter's like, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'm playing the damn show." That was more G-rated than what he actually said.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm in." I said, "You're my guy." And
People
then,
are coming. You're performing.
And then when I was in Mississippi for those 2 years, when I lived out there, he was going to Tupelo, and I was like, "I'm going. I don't care. I'll get the cheapest ticket. Go up top. I'm going. This is my guy."
Yep.
And I won free tickets to go see him.
Wow.
And I was like 5th row, and I was like,
Damn.
I spent a lot of money on merch too.
Yeah,
so like,
fair enough.
So like, dude, I have like 6 Cody Jinks hats, like 8 T-shirts. I have a lot of his stuff.
Hell yeah, dude.
And then me and my dad, like, I kept saying, "God, like Cody Jinks is my guy."
Yeah.
He came to Atlanta and played at the amphitheater there. And
The
I,
Ameris Bank Amphitheater?
yeah, and I told Daddy, I
When
said,
did you see him there?
when Josh Malloy opened.
Okay.
It was in October last year.
October last year. Can't remember if I was there or not.
So we were there. I told Daddy, I said, "Daddy, you got to go." I said, "You got to see Cody Jinks."
Yeah.
Dude. And he came out, and that was when he played, right before he put out the recording, A Long Way to the Top.
Oh, yeah.
AC/DC
Yeah.
cover. I said, "I'm in."
Yeah.
But see, like with Cody Jinks, I think my favorite song I have a lot of favorites, but I think the one I love, style, the rhythm, everything, changed the game.
Change the game.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've got some. Here's a funny story. When he released that record, Change the Game, and specifically that song, Change the Game,
Yeah.
I almost wondered, and this is my delusional self, I almost wondered if he had heard some of my music that I put on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And it was like, because I got a song called Where Dreams Don't Disappear.
Okay.
And I was like,
Wow.
even if he did, I wouldn't care. But I just thought it was so close. I was wondering, but no, realistically, I think probably what it was because I was so heavily inspired by Cody Jinks. The natural progression that he was going to follow was also the natural progression that I was going to follow because I was inspired by him.
Fascinating.
And so I think what happened was he'd made his first few albums. I was inspired by those first few albums, so I wrote a song like over here, and he wrote his song, and they were pretty similar.
Right.
But-
That's crazy. Cause like one of, obviously we talked about music, guitars, and all that off camera, but one of the first songs I learned was "Rock and Roll"
Rock and roll.
by Cody Jinks.
Yeah. Is that I don't want to rock and roll
Yeah.
no more?
Yeah, I don't want
Yeah.
the whiskey anymore.
Yeah.
That's that. But again, that was so easy. Like it's like capo on 3, and then you just play it, and I was like, "Oh man, that's such a good one. Like it's so good."
Yeah.
Like you do that, you pick it, and then I saw him, and then Whiskey Myers. Like I'm a huge Whiskey Myers fan. Like like we went. I tell you, I only seen them twice, but both times I saw them with my dad. And first time ever was Bourbon Street. It's now closed down, but in Auburn, Alabama.
Huh.
We were nose, basically elbows to assholes with them.
Whiskey Myers?
Yeah. And I was like, this is cool. I mean,
Yeah.
and they only came out with, it was that album that had Virginia on
Virginia.
it.
Okay.
You know,
I've not
Bar-
listened to a lot of them.
But man, you got to listen to them.
Yeah.
If you like Southern rock of
Yeah.
any type, they're the ones.
Because I know of like Stone and Broken Window Serenade.
Yes. Yeah, those are good. I'm a big fan of Bury My Bones.
Bury My Bones. I think I've heard it. I forgot it. though.
Yeah, it's If I Die Young, right? My mother tell her that.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
It has the mandolin in it.
Yeah.
It starts off with that. It goes.
Okay, I think I remember it. Yeah.
So, I know that was a bad explanation of me trying to do that.
We'll forgive you.
Please, yeah. I know my parents.
Forgive them.
Yeah, don't forgive me. It's
No.
bad.
But that's really neat. The first time I ever saw Cody Jinks was September 14th, 2019.
Okay.
That's my dad's birthday.
Okay.
And we went to see Cody Jinks that night at the Amerispank Amphitheater in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Okay.
And Cody Jinks was opening for Leonard Skinner. And so I'd gone to see Leonard Skinner. I don't give a shit who these opening acts are. Never
Right.
heard of them. Don't want to listen to them. I'm
Right.
here for Skinner.
Yeah.
That was stupid. Because what I'd found out was, I just kind of ignored the opening acts, and when I got to Leonard Skinner, amazing concert, one of the best of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I did hear a little bit of Cody Jinks, and I was like, that's an interesting sound. I don't know if it's for me, but it's interesting. But luckily, my dad was listening,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad was really listening, and he got a little addicted to Cody Jinks, and so he was listening to him all around the house for the following few months. And eventually I took notice as well, and I was like, holy cow. And Cody Jinks has since become, one of my favorite musicians. I think my favorite living musician.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of tied between him and Lana Del Rey.
Okay.
But a lot of my songwriting was inspired by Cody Jinks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I was first starting to practice songwriting, one of the exercises I would do was I would take a Cody Jinks song, and I would kind of take the idea of it and then write it in my style and see if I could see it, like going back to that thought experiment of if you give the same writer or two different writers the same topic, what do they turn it into? And so some of my first songs that I ever wrote were kind of done that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Cody Jinks, I'd love to meet him one day. We'll see.
Yeah, see, I should. They had a meet and greet, but like, it was a lot of money, and I was like, I'm good. But looking back, I wish in Montgomery I would have stayed and said, I just want to shake your hand. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. Obviously he's sober now, and I'm like, I can imagine, running.
He's the hardest working man in show business.
And he's still independent. Yeah. And that's the craziest thing. And the thing about it is because I listen to podcasts all the time now, especially about musicians and my interest that I have. And, one of the things he talked about was how him opening up for Luke Combs, he ruffled a lot of the feathers.
I heard that,
because he was like, I'm independent.
Yeah.
And Luke Combs was like, nah, screw him. I like you.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, all right. And he was like, dude, they were great to us.
Yeah.
And, we went out there, rocked out, and then he rocked out, and then we went about our day, and I was like, that's kind of cool. But again, it's like, seeing them in front of 70 people and then seeing them close to sell-out amphitheaters, you're like, yeah, that's a crazy upgrade in just that short of time. 2016, and now it's 2025, and he has I need to pre-order his new album. I need to. I'm
excited for that.
See, I have a collection of vinyl records, and I have about 125. I have a problem.
There's worse problems to have.
Well, yeah, meth.
Yeah.
But, so I have.
Nah, dude, meth is a good Friday night. We talk about.
Oh well, thank God it's Tuesday. Oh, it is Friday. Never mind.
Shit.
Well, we got a problem.
Well,
but so a lot of mine is like the Whiskey Myers. I'll have every Cody Jinks.
Oh yeah.
Even his metal album, Came by Nod.
Came by Nod.
I have that, and then I also have. I obviously have Leonard Skinner. I have Brent Cobb. I have him. Brent Cobb's a great songwriter. I say Whiskey Myers, 49 Winchester, and Sturgill Simpson. Those are kind of my core, and then I have the Highwayman, Willie Nelson, a little bit of Merle.
So you're definitely a fan of the modern outlaw movement.
Yes, I'm a huge fan.
Hell yeah.
But again, that's what I liked about Cody is I like Jamie Johnson, but Cody was like when I heard his take on Merle Haggard's The Way I Am, I went, hold on, this is country. This is, and I'm not talking about what's playing on radio. I'm like, this is country. The way his twang is and everything, it was almost like Jamie Johnson and Randy Travis had a love child, and that was just based on that one song. I was like, man, that's a good one.
Yeah. I think I probably listened to Cody Jinks's version of The Way I Am way more than Merle Haggard's.
I did too.
Which I kind of feel bad about because it's like Merle Haggard in the hierarchy of country music. He's technically higher, but it's sorry, Merle. But,
again, everyone listens to Stapleton's version of Tennessee Whiskey.
That's true.
Because it's a whole different take on it.
It's an incredible take too. Merging At Last, the melody of At Last with the lyrics of Tennessee Whiskey is amazing.
Yeah. But then, and everyone forgets that, George Jones made it famous, but David Allan Coe was the one who came out with it first.
Yeah. I just realized I mixed up songs. It wasn't At Last. It was I'd Rather Be Blind.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it Etta James?
I think you're right.
I think so.
But again, and I'm a Stapleton fan because I loved them in the Steel Drivers, the Johnson Brothers, like Steel Drivers, man. I only have 2 albums of theirs, and they're obviously when Stapleton's on there.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if it hadn't been for love, I was like, man, that's a good one.
Have you heard, I think it was a Steel Driver song. It was Where Rainbows Never Die.
Oh, dude, don't even get me started on that song. I love that song.
I have a whole playlist dedicated to songs like that. I call it like Pictures of Heaven. And it's those songs like Where Rainbows Never Die or When I Get Where I'm Going, that Brad Paisley and Dolly Parton song.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think it was Craig Morgan's, it was that song where he woke up the homeless man and he was talking about, what heaven looked like.
Mm-hmm.
I love songs like that because I'm not, like you mentioned, you're a young man going on 72, and that's how I feel too. I'm 20 going on 80.
Yeah.
So it's like, I love this world. I'd love to be here and have a great, successful career. But if Jesus said, you want to come home? I'd be like, ooh, yes, hell yeah, take me. Let's go.
Yeah, right.
So
see, I have a similar playlist, but because obviously my papa passed away, last year, and it was so weird, man, because I like Riley Green, but I like his wherever.
Heathen.
Yeah, I know, right? but I like his not necessarily like there was this girl, nothing like that. But I like his acoustic stuff. Anything that's more acoustic, that's more storytelling. So like Jesus Saves, like that one was a good one because it painted the picture of just reality of what happens.
Yeah.
But then he had this one called My Last Rodeo, and that one was pretty good because it was funny because Jake Carroll, who was on the podcast and did, the sessions, actually, funny enough, it's dark now, but there's a little service road back there. It's a dirt road. That's where we filmed it.
Interesting. I think I might have seen those.
So he so he did a couple Riley Green covers and Muscadine Bloodline covers, and too, as well as a couple of his originals. And man, it was funny. He was like, hey, can I do a cover? I said, yeah, man, it's totally up to you. I'm indifferent. I'm with it. I'm cool with it. He was like, hey, what about My Last Rodeo? I said, oh man, now you're gonna get me squalling over here.
Like, you got to do it now.
Yeah. So, but it was interesting because the first verse is talking about basically his grandfather in a hospital bed, which is very similar to what happened to me.
Okay.
And in that situation, I won't go into too many details, but it was just fascinating. It was like there's that connection. There was that immediate connection of what he said to me and kind of how Riley Green presented the song. I said, man, that is to a T. That song, that is what happened. That's pretty much what happened. And it was just fascinating. You definitely need to listen to it. I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I've listened to a little bit of Riley Green just on the radio because that's something I'm forced to do at work.
Yeah.
Because I don't control the radio because I'm not the one driving. So they'll be listening to modern country, and most of it I'm like, I wish I didn't have to hear this.
Yeah.
But some of it's really good. And I've one of my guilty pleasures is that new Riley Green song.
Is it Worst Way?
Worst Way.
Oh,
that
my
one.
Lord.
Whew, man, I'm a straight male, and that thing puts me in heat.
Well, I mean, look, I'll say this: everyone lost their mind whenever he shaved the mustache off.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
then he grew it back 2 days later.
Yeah,
so
he was like,
hell?
I know. He was like, hey guys, I was just chilling. This is me, right? Nope, we don't like you. All right, well, I'll grow it back. All right, we like you. But it's funny because
I love how we can bully these people into submission.
Don't you hate social media in that regard?
I love it.
I get it, but man,
I love the chaos.
You just like stirring the pot, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My mom always said that I was a shock jock. She would compare me to people like Howard Stern.
Really?
As a 9 or 7-year-old.
Really?
Which now, after a while, when I actually learned who Howard Stern was and listened to some of his radio clips, I was like, holy cow, why'd she compare me to him?
Yeah.
What was I saying?
I know. So, okay, I guess I want your perspective on and it's not even perspective. I think I want to twist the conversation to like these field recordings, very similar to kind of what I did, with you,
Yeah.
a little bit ago. I guess, what's your perspective on it? Because I think, I've always been a fan of them. Obviously, this is why I'm doing it, but
Yeah.
I think it started becoming more famous or more brought to light even more because of Oliver Anthony with
Yeah.
Richmond, north of Richmond. I guess I just want your perspective on it.
I've always been a huge fan of field recordings. I mean, because there's a history of them, going back to Alan Lomax and even before. I guess, I don't know what Alan Lomax would technically be called. I don't know if he'd be a biographer or what, but he would go into the field in the Appalachian Mountains and to the Delta and Mississippi. And he would do these field recordings with people you've never heard of, but they were, doing these blues standards or bluegrass standards or country standards. And so I love the history of field recordings. And especially nowadays, like what you mentioned, seems like the best recordings are the ones that are recorded outside of studios, because there's something about a studio where it seems, I guess the focus is more on the perfection of it and the polishing of it rather than the portrayal of the song, rather than just the feeling of the song. Because, like even if you're recording, live, like if you mess up, you gotta, start over. And so I think there's a more of an honesty to it, and I think it allows you to feel the song more. And so, yeah, like what you mentioned, I love, Richmond, north of Richmond, and, stuff that a lot of folks are doing. I think it's a good trend.
I kind of tend to agree there. Obviously, I
you're
have to, because I'm biased because I'm doing this.
If you didn't like field recordings and you were doing that,
yeah, like what am I doing? Well, I'm just bored on a Friday night kind of thing. But going on Oliver Anthony, there's a song. It was on his produced album, but it really wasn't produced. It was a VCR Kid.
VCR, yes.
That was so good, man. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, and I bet an old man like you could really relate to that.
Oh, but yeah, don't even start now. I still have a VCR tape player and everything. It's, the good old days is what I call it. I know. I mean, dude, I'll be 30 next year, and...
Damn, son.
I know. My back's hurting. My knees are hurting. Man, it's so bad. I was at work earlier this year, and I think I was taping down something like gaff tape or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, I was squatting down, and then my left knee just had like a jolt, and I just sat there. I go, man, I'm getting old. Like this sucks. So like all my buddies, when it's their birthdays, I was like, getting old sucks, don't it? They're like, yep.
Getting old ain't for sissies.
Well,
it scares me.
Oh yeah, I don't get old.
Yeah,
Never
I don't mind
grow
dying,
up.
but I don't want to get old.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, the getting old part is awful. I mean, dude, waking up, it's like, I always wondered why my dad just like moaned and groaned and started shuffling his feet, and then I started getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
And I get out of bed and I go, doing all that. You're like,
yeah.
Oh man, I'm turning into him.
Yep.
My mom says that's a problem that I'm turning into him, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You're just turning really cool.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if cool is the right word.
Eclectic? Interesting?
Vintage.
Peculiar.
Yes, we'll go with that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, a purveyor of oddities.
See, like, I was never an English major. Obviously, I'm a video guy, obviously, why we have all these lights.
Yeah.
So, like, writing papers and stuff, I was off. I could not figure out an adjective. I was like, I don't know, red.
Yeah,
red. And then
scarlet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're over there saying scarlet and stuff, and you're like the crimson tone of his bloodshot eyes, and I'm like, dude, his eyes are red.
Them bitches are red.
Basically. I was like, all right, man. It was so funny. I was in college. I went to a JUCO for my first 2 years, and I had an English class to kind of get my core classes out of the way, and. And my English teacher said, all right, y'all just stop doing this extra stuff of like, kind of like the scarlet in your crimson eyes.
Yeah.
Just say it's a red fire truck. And I was like, all right. So I did, and I kept getting C's. I said, why? They're like, it's not interesting. I'm like, well, you told me to take the interesting words out.
Well, to be fair, that's what I think. I think Alan Jackson is one of the greatest country songwriters ever.
Okay.
And the reason I think that is because I've always heard that the people who are true geniuses, who are truly masters in their craft, are those that can take a very high-level idea and explain it in a way that a fourth grader could understand. And I think that's what Alan Jackson does in his music. You know, you think of songs like Small Town Southern Man, for example. It's a very deep idea. It's about life, living, having children and a family, and eventually dying. But he's able to write it in a way that anybody can feel it and anybody can understand it. And I don't know what grade level, it would be written at, but I feel like a second grader could hear it and understand everything. And likewise, an 80-year-old in their deathbed could hear it and understand everything. And so I think that's why I think Alan Jackson is one of the greatest country songwriters. And so I aspire to get to that level of taking deep ideas and writing them simply enough that everybody can feel it.
Okay, so obviously everyone asks the question eventually, who's your Mount Rushmore?
Who's my Mount Rushmore?
Mm-hmm. And
me, and me. No.
See, I mean, I'd probably say that about me, but I got an ego about me apparently.
Really?
I'm Mudflap. I mean, what are you talking
Mudflap.
about?
Hell yeah, dude! I got to meet Mudflap tonight.
Look, man, I'll sign autographs after this and everything. I have a meet and greet and everything. Yeah. It's crazy.
Hopefully free. I'm broke.
Yeah, well,
my Mount Rushmore. I'll give a couple Mount Rushmores because I love so many musicians that I'll split it up by genre.
Okay.
I think my country Mount Rushmore. We're talking Hank Williams Sr., Cody Jinks, and then it gets tricky. It's like I feel like either Alan Jackson or Merle Haggard has to be on there. Mm-hmm. But then it's kind of like if I could only have four: Hank Williams, Cody Jinks, Waylon Jennings, scratch that, Willie Nelson, and Alan Jackson.
Okay.
Because I find myself listening to Waylon Jennings more, and I love singing Waylon Jennings songs, but I write like Willie Nelson. Mm-hmm. And so it's like apparently Willie Nelson has been a lot more influential on me. And fun fact, he's my second cousin twice removed. So he's my granddad's second cousin.
All right.
So Lucas, if you're out there, hit me up.
Oh, funny enough, in Tupelo, Lucas Nelson opened for Cody Jinks.
Really?
Yes.
Damn.
I love Lucas.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. I said, hold on. I saw him too.
Yeah. Shit. That's a dream lineup.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Man, he's so good. I love that he's... So he was just on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yes.
And I started watching that too. And I in the beginning, he talks about how one of his goals in life was to distinguish himself from his father and to make his own way, to make his own living. And man, I respect the hell out of that. Because one of my pet peeves in music is the folks that live on the names of, people like fourth generation still living on their great-granddaddy's name. Mm-hmm. And, I understand it's hard out there. You got to do what you got to do to get famous, to have a career and to pay the bills. So I'm not going to, badmouth them. But there's that line in the conversation with Waylon Jennings and Hank Jr. Mm-hmm. It was that back then they called him crazy. Nowadays they call him a saint. Mm-hmm. And the ones that called him crazy are still riding on his name. Yeah. And I think, you ought to make your own way. So I really respect Lucas for deciding to do that and choosing to. Because, there's a lot of us that don't have a name that we can grapple onto. Right. I'm not Cody Jinks' son, so there's not much I can do.
Man, the thing about it with Lucas is when he opened up for Cody Jinks and had like his close to hour-long set, he didn't even play any Willie Nelson. He didn't even acknowledge. He didn't do anything. Because I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, he's going to play like a Willie, like always on my mind or something, just to say, just to be like, oh, okay. Yeah. Nope. Not a single one. And I went, wow. All right, that's cool. I'm with it.
You got to respect that. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Because it's such a low hanging fruit that reasonably most people are going to do it. Maybe I would do it too if I were Lucas Nelson. But the fact that he chose to do it the hard way, man, you got to respect that. It's incredible.
The thing is Willie's getting up there in age, like
he's
really
92 now.
Yeah. So Lucas goes out there and plays with him and plays a lot of his songs with him as well. Yeah. Because I don't think Willie can play a couple songs and he'll sing a
Yeah.
couple, and then it's basically I think everyone else has to just do
Yeah, and
everything.
he's definitely not. He doesn't have the power that he used to have.
Yeah.
You know, you can kind of scratch out a vocal here and there.
Yeah.
And he's almost. I think it allows. I think it's good the music that he wrote to be in this position because he was such a great storyteller that you can rely on the storytelling.
Yeah.
Now, if he was trying to do a song like an opera, you know, he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, if he was trying to do, I can't think of a good example of it, but, you know, like a pop song, a lot of it's very heavily reliant on the singing because the lyrics are very basic. You know, but because Willie Nelson had such depth to his lyrics and such incredible songwriting and storytelling, he could speak it, you know, no melody at all, and it would be entertaining.
Okay, speaking it, Luke the Drifter.
Luke the Drifter. I love Luke the Drifter. Some of my favorite records were that. And Hank Sr. had another album that was released in '92, you know, posthumously.
Yeah.
That word. Called Alone with His Guitar. One of the greatest records I've ever heard. And it was like demos and stuff. But yeah, Luke the Drifter. Hank Williams, he's on my Mount Rushmore first and foremost because more than the music, I connect with him as a man, as a human being. Because I guess we're both musicians, you know, that's the low-hanging fruit. But we're also both Christians, but specifically the type of Christian we are. I don't know how to explain it without sounding arrogant or anything like that or howdy, but he was very well aware of that phrase, there but for the grace of God go I. And I try to remind myself of that phrase as much as I can. You know, he was never, as far as I know, he was never, I'm better than everybody else. He was always, thank God for the blessings I have today because it could be a whole lot worse. And that really shows in that album, Luke the Drifter. You know, if I remember correctly, the songs that were on it, you know, they were all ballads about, you know, people who were in, you know, bad circumstances. And there was one or two different ones here, like No No Joe, which is a funny song. But he was very, very humble, I would say. And the fact that he could write a song from another person's perspective. Some of my favorites are like The Funeral. Or there's another song with this little girl, Help Me Understand. And those songs are just... I wish we still had that kind of storytelling, where it was a story with a moral, a story with a lesson.
So, there's two thoughts to this. One, everything's okay. I love that one from Luke Drifter. We're still living, so everything's okay. You know, and then
it's like Job.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, I mean, it is a joke. It's like, well, you know, what could possibly go right? Hey, we're here, so it's okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of live by that, you know, myself.
Could be a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like, well, you know, the power went out, and this is there. You know, the kids are struggling in school, but you know, we're still living, so everything's okay.
Yeah.
And then, but again, I think you got a glimpse of that with Chris Ledoux. You know, like Cowboy's Hat, like, you know, it's kind of that moral of like, you know, like you don't know what someone's been through, like, you know, you don't know what something means to someone, so kind of just, you know, watch yourself, watch out, you know, show that respect. And I think we saw that glimpse, kind of like what you said. There's that, you know, spoken moral in that, you know, and that's because after you said that, I was like, Chris Ledoux, that's the person that I could think of.
And I really love those songs. I wish we still had musicians like that. And you know, someone could tell me, well, why don't you do it? Well, I could, but sadly, it's not as authentic to me as it was to them, and I really want to make music that's authentic to me, and so the best I can do is what I do. But I've come to greatly appreciate Hank Williams, and he's a perfect example of the beauty of imperfection. By today's standards, he was a bad singer. He couldn't always hold a tune or a note, and it was raspy in all the worst ways. But in that there was a beauty, and I wish, I'm bad at explaining it, I wish I could convey my thoughts on him, because I think about him quite often. But I guess the best I can do is, he was a man that truly understood his fallibility, and he knew not to get too big for his britches, because God, that's when he get cut down a notch. And he was a man that had a lot of vices as well. He lived a rough life from the start. He fell into addiction to, narcotics that are some of the worst. You think the morphine and different things like that. And yet he was always a man after God's own heart. In spite of how bad he knew he was, he always lived with a repentant heart. And that's overall, more than music and more than anything, that's what I try to emulate from Hank Williams, is that if I had to make a list of everything I've done, and even the things I continue to do almost on a daily basis, most people would probably hate me.
Right.
If people knew my heart, if they could see my thoughts. Bob Dylan wrote that. If my thought dreams could be seen, they'd probably put my head in a guillotine.
Mm-hmm.
But I always try to live with that understanding of, there but for the grace of God go I. And in spite of how bad things are, it could be a hell of a lot worse.
Dude, you're 20 years old and you're this deep into everything. Like there's, and again, see, now it's starting to click even more and more and more with your songwriting, man. It's just, I am so fast. I could do research on you. Like this is just, I'm fascinated by everything at this point. Like again, the first
My head's
song
already big enough. I keep having to buy hats. Stop it.
All right, well, you know what? You could cut.
You can't stretch straw hats.
Yeah.
But you can do snapbacks.
Yeah, you can do snapbacks.
Hey.
Mudflapoutdoors.com. Go and get your hat there.
Mudflap Outdoors.
But it's just, it makes so much sense of just your ideology, the way you look at life, and it definitely is conveyed through your storytelling and your music. And
I try. Thank you.
And that was the thing that I really wanted to get to, because again, like if you were, and I'm saying using traditional as a loose or term, but like a traditional, new age, country artist, it'd be pretty easy to be like, well, I hunt and fish, and I just grew up like in in the backwoods and that kind of thing. Like I'd be like, all right, that makes sense. Everyone can relate to that because that is a lifestyle. But like
American or Southern American culture.
Yeah, but like the way you look at things, the way you go about your life, it's just, it shows in your music, and that's the best way I can explain it. Like the song that got me hooked on you was Alone and So Cold.
Yes, sir.
Like that was the one. But again, like the way I looked at it was like, he's only playing these 4 chords in this rhythm. That was what I saw, and I was like, oh wait, hold on. And then I kept listening. Because, I mean, I'm a simple guy. Like, if you start doing crazy stuff, you may like, all right, you're losing me.
Fair enough.
But again, I think it's kind of that field recording, that vintage old school style of like, you have to let the lyrics and you have to let the voice tell the story. Yeah. The guitar is just an accent piece to it, or the music is the accent piece to it.
It lifts up the lyrics.
Yeah.
It adds a rhythm, a melody to the lyrics.
Yeah, and it's just like, It's almost like, I'll tell you another person that I think you sound like, and this is I wouldn't even call it a stretch, but I think Billy Strings.
Fair enough.
I could see it. First off, you look like him whenever he came out with Dust in the Baggie, like whenever,
fair enough, yeah.
like with your hair, how you have it slick, and then whenever you had your hat on, I went, he looks kind of like Billy Strings to me.
Fair enough. I love Billy.
I love him too.
Yeah,
man.
he's gotten a little out there with his music nowadays. Like I fell in love with him back before he started going psychedelic.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to put down the music just because I don't understand it doesn't mean it's not good music.
Yeah.
But it's not personally for me. But his older stuff, all that, like Dust in a Baggie. I was on YouTube, and you could probably see my comment. I got quite a few likes on it. But I was like, put it at 1.25 speed for the full meth effect. And it was like, but I would slow that song down trying to learn that intro riff on YouTube. No, that's a different thing.
Yeah, no, that's King of the Hill. That's King of the Hill. Yeah.
But Billy Strings, when I was into bluegrass, listening to a lot of Doc Watson, I also listened to a lot of him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And, so I'll take it. Like that video of him in the basement at that party. with that one dude smoking an unlit cigarette for
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's legendary. And that's another example, the beauty of imperfection, the beauty of field recordings, the beauty of pick up a phone when someone's playing music. Those are sometimes the best recordings.
And it's funny. So I mean, I'm using Riley Green as his example, but it's a very real, story. And he said in a lot of podcasts is he did I Wish Grandpa's Never Died. He was never going to release it. It may have been released, but it wasn't going to be a single. And there was another song that was going to be a single. He played it one time, and that cell phone video of someone there, put it up, and it went viral. Wow. And he's like, hey, I think this needs to be our single. And I think the label was like, I don't know, like, it's kind of sad or whatever. It's kind of simple. It's kind of whatever. And he's like, no, they like it, or whatever the story goes.
Like,
and
can you read?
Yeah, and it's basically like, because of that, social media push, that, field recording, as you will, even though it was at a concert, it changed his life from that point. I mean, obviously he had this pop song, or I say pop song, more of a, loud Floribama type song of There Was This Girl, and that helped get him on the map. But I think what really set him over was I Wish Grandpa's Never Died, and then he just started, blowing up as he is now.
Yeah. Yeah, I always go back to it, and I don't have anything against studio recordings. Everybody does it. It's a standard. Of course, you do it. It's great. Some of my favorite artists, they were only in the studio. Elvis, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But those, I always go back to the rawness of those early Zach Bryan recordings, where he was, just kind of walking back inside on a hot summer night. He was dripping sweat, almost bloodshot eyes, rosy cheeks, and he just set his phone up, started playing I'm Condemned and Heading South. And holy shit, those recordings are transcendental. They're some of the greatest recordings ever.
Right.
In all genres.
Right.
And the view count, shows it. The view count agrees.
It's just so crazy. And that's the thing I like about Sturgill Simpson is everyone I've talked to, I really want to see him live.
Yeah. I've got a friend who's seen him a few times. I've heard he's amazing. Yeah,
and the crazy thing is, and even in a couple interviews, whenever it was like in 2016, like the way he plays, some of his big songs, it's different every time. And it's funny. He had an interview with, I forgot what it was with, but it was like they were holding guitars and they were just talking to each other. It's not everything musical. It's not that. It was like everything guitar, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, but it's on there, and he started, and they were like go back and forth on his philosophy, and he said in there, and I'm paraphrasing, is like once he recorded a song and put it out, and after he played it a few times live, he's like, oh my word, I had a better way of playing this song. I had a better way I wanted to cut it. And he was like, you just kind of have to go with it. And I'm like, Sturgill, what? Yeah. I'm like, there's a better way than saying this? Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about?
That's part of what freaks me out about committing to cutting a record, is because then the songs are set in stone. And it's like, well, I can't change them then. And that's part of the reason I love writing on a computer, is because I don't need to erase. I just delete, disappear, never existed. And so when I'm writing, sometimes I'll delete a whole verse, just completely deleted. And I love how you don't have to commit to anything with it, so you can really play. And that's what freaks me out about cutting a record, is I gotta really get it together before you cut it. Otherwise, I'll be later on, it's like, oh, I could have done that better. Right.
But it's fascinating because like with Sturgill, he did. I still think one of the greatest albums ever out there, just from start to finish in terms of storytelling. I call it more of a concept album, but it's from Sturgill. It's A Sailor's Guide to Earth. Like that.
Is that the one he wrote for his son?
Hello, my son.
Yeah.
Welcome to Earth. Yeah. Wow. So like that one, dude. So again, talking about earlier in the conversation. That 40, 50 minute, you want to listen start to finish. That's one I put on there. There's not a skippable one.
Fair enough.
For me, there's not. But again, the way he produced it, it was very, I don't know, sailory. It's, I don't know what the nautical maybe is.
Nautical, fair enough.
But it's so good. One song flows with the other.
Ooh.
It just keeps flowing and it keeps flowing and it keeps flowing,
Yeah.
which is why
so
I
it's
call
like
it
an old Pink Floyd album.
very, very much like a Pink Floyd album.
Yeah.
And it's, it starts...
Like, have you listened to Another Brick in the Wall, like the whole album start to finish?
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
It's just... But again, like with Sturgill, I put him on... Yeah, that was actually one of the first albums I got on vinyl. And again, start to finish, dude, I'll sit there with a glass of bourbon and I'll sit there, close my eyes and go, yeah, this is it. Especially when he goes, "Oh, Sarah," man, that's a good song. Because it's so crazy because it's just very much like, I don't even call it jazz, but it's like just like a drum and a little bit of bass. It goes, doom, doom. And he goes and about like not 60 seconds in, he goes, "Oh, Sarah, here we go again." And I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I said, you got me hooked.
Locked in, hell yeah.
But the crazy thing is he ended up re-recording that song because he made a bluegrass version of it.
Really?
And that version slaps even more. I'm like, what?
I have considered doing that. Like, I was just talking to a friend about this recently of cut an EP, but it's only one song on the EP played in 5 different genres.
Tyler Childers, I think, did that. It was Way of the... Oh, man, I'm going to butcher the song.
The Way of the Triune God?
Yeah. I think he did it like 2 or 3 different ways.
I feel like I heard that too, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? That was an intriguing concept album that he did.
I mean, it really allows you to explore the fullest extent of it, because something I've always heard about a good song is that a good song, you can play it in different genres and it works. Like, let's say I Will Always Love You is an example of that. Whitney Houston did it in like an 80s pop version, but it was written in a 70s country style. It worked. And so I think, a great song, you can play it country, you can play it blues, you can play it rock, you can play it pop, you can play it jazz, If the lyrics are good, they'll hold up in any genre.
Right. No, and it's...
Because, I mean, imagine jazz, but you're singing about trucks and shit like that. It's like, kind of only works in country.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the thing. I think what makes an artist, musician, however you want to call it, or performer good is when you can transcend those genres.
Yeah.
And I think one of the modern day, outlaws, visionaries, is Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
Because he blended those genres. He blended it. You had the bluegrass, then he did the rock, and then you have the country, then you have very, it's funny. He came out with a new one. It's by it's with Miranda Lambert, and dude, this one is almost like a disco-y sound.
Interesting.
And it was. I listened to it and I said, "Oh yeah, this slaps." I'm like, because I listened to it and I'm like, okay, this is Stapleton. Like this, like just based on the instruments, I'm like, this is Stapleton all the way. Dude, it's so funny. So whenever you get a chance, go on YouTube, and I think it's with Billboard Music.
Okay.
Stapleton did an interview with Josh Brolin, and they talked about music and whatnot.
I think I've got that saved in my watch later. I keep meaning to watch it.
Oh, it's so good. I watched it one day, and I was like, because Josh is like, man, what about music? And Stapleton's like, it's just music.
Yeah.
And then, he was talking about...
He's so soft-spoken.
He was outstanding. I love him to death. But it was funny because he was like, I give you this one. I'm not going to spoil everything for you because it's pretty cool, and you'll still enjoy it. But, like, Josh was talking about, like Waylon Jennings or whatever and whatnot. And Stephen said, hold on. He pulled out Waylon Jennings' electric guitar and said, here you go. It was the black and white one that he had.
Mercy.
And he's like, ain't no way. He goes, yeah.
Because there's only like 5 of those in existence.
Yeah, Stapleton has.
And you know this is cool as hell. My pastor's uncle owns one of those.
Really?
So that church I used to go to up in Claremont, Georgia, a little country church, Shoal Creek Baptist Church. My pastor up there, his uncle is a man named Tommy Townsend. Do you know Tommy Townsend?
That name sounds so familiar.
Well, so recently at Waylon Jennings' birthday celebration they did with Shooter Jennings, and Charlie Crockett was there.
Yes.
You might have seen this man, Tommy Townsend, in pictures with Charlie Crockett in them.
I think I know who you're talking about.
That's my pastor's uncle. He owns one of the guitars. I think he owns one. I want to say Keith Urban owns one, or either him or Brad Paisley owns one, and then apparently Chris Stapleton owns one
Stapleton
too.
has one. I think he has the I think it's iconic. It's the black and white one.
Yeah, the leather case they put on the Telecaster.
Yeah.
And the reason why Tommy Townsend has one is because, so back in the day, I think when Tommy was 13 years old, he went and saw Waylon Jennings live. This was when Waylon had the Hells Angels as his security.
Uh-huh.
Well, Tommy loved Waylon Jennings and wanted to meet him, and so Tommy's parents, went to the Hells Angels and was like, "Hey, could our son meet Waylon? He's a big fan. He plays music too, and he'd love to meet him." And Waylon, he loved kids, and so I guess he got relayed the message, and he was like, "Hell yeah, dude!" Mm-hmm. So Tommy got to meet Waylon Jennings that day, and apparently they became pretty good friends because I think it was the early '80s or mid '80s or something like that. Waylon Jennings produced an album for Tommy Townsend.
I think I know who this guy is.
I think just released in 2022 as like a red cover. I think the Southern... I forgot the name of the title track. Southern Man was the name of the title track.
Boy, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. And Tommy Townsend is cool as hell too because he owns a distillery in Blairsville, Georgia called Granddaddy Mims. So my pastor's uncle is a moonshiner and a musician that his first album was produced by Waylon Jennings.
That's the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life.
You're damn right it is.
Oh, my God. I'm so shook. I went, what? I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like, one of the songs.
It's a small world. When you start getting into country music and all that, it's like all the greats know each other.
Oh, dude. Well, and the crazy thing about it is I was in, funny enough, Tupelo. And sometimes I collect vinyl records just to collect them for the artwork or, like, it ain't even got to play. I just like to collect them. I got this one Waylon Jennings. That's why I had to look up album called Cedartown, Georgia.
Oh yeah,
I have family who is from Cedartown, Georgia.
Really?
Yeah. So I got that, and I was like, and I remember it too. I think I took a picture and sent it to my papa. I said, "Look at this." He goes, "That's a good album." I said, "It is." So then I listened to Cedartown, Georgia, that song, and I said, "Oh man, that's a good one."
Man, that's a murder ballad right there.
I know. I was like,
leaned in a pawn shop and bought a 22.
Dude, I can't get over Tommy Townsend right now.
Yeah,
I am so shook.
It's cool as hell. I got to meet him a couple times, and I got a picture with him and Buddy Jennings, Waylon's, I think his first son.
Yeah.
And so I was 15 years old. I had, I was on the right, and then you had Tommy Townsend and then Buddy Jennings. And that was cool as hell. Because it worked out, because I just went to Granddaddy Mims Distillery. They were, I think, having Tommy Townsend's birthday celebration up there one year. And so I just went up there. It was 59 degrees, pretty chilly and misting, so it made it even colder.
Oh, my God.
But I was sitting out there, and this very nice older lady just came up to me and started talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I was like, I guess we were just small talking, and eventually the conversation got to, oh, yeah, Tommy Townsend's my pastor's uncle. I'd love to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently this was family to Tommy Townsend's wife. I think that's what it was. And so she went to Tommy's wife, and I got to meet Tommy's wife, and then I got to meet Tommy Townsend. And Buddy Jennings was hanging out there. It was amazing. So
there's so much to you. I had no clue. This is crazy.
I've been blessed. God put me in a good place in a good time period.
Right.
And if I could keep, like, one of my dreams, I'll put this out in the universe, and maybe the Lord will do something with it. It's my dream to cut a record of duets, American standards, and maybe stuff we've written with Lana Del Rey. That'd be one of the damnedest things,
Yeah.
Because there's so many American standard duets that I love. And I know that Lana has a great appreciation for the older bluegrass. Like in one of her songs, I forgot which one it was, maybe Kintsugi, she references that old bluegrass song, A Froggy Went A-Courtin'.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, she has an appreciation for older music. I know that. Mm-hmm. And so I bet an album, and I have an older way, traditional way of singing, and I could just imagine the beauty of singing a duet with my voice and Lana Del Rey's. I dream big, man. I'm delusional too. It's great.
No, you're not delusional. This is outstanding. Holy crap! I would have never thought this. At 6 o'clock when you rolled up here, I would have never thought any of this. I was just like, dude, I just got to figure out what this dude's made of. Like, I mean, his songwriting and everything. Holy crap, man.
Well, I tell you. So, have you ever seen the movie Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves?
Yes.
Great movie. One of my favorites. Because I love, like I said, I love death. I love redemption. I love Satan, demons, all that stuff. I don't worship them, of course, but they're fascinating as hell. That movie I love, and one of Al Pacino's lines in it, Al Pacino was the devil. And so one of his lines was, they're walking down the street of New York, and he was telling Keanu, look, one of your problems is you're too out there. You're too flashy. You're too prideful. You don't want them to see you coming. You want to be underestimated. And I kind of like that idea, and that's what I find. So I'm bad at selling myself, but there's a good aspect to it because I always over-deliver. And so what happens is I look like a normal guy. I look like just, every country musician out there. I wear my T-shirts and my Wranglers and my cowboy boots and all that stuff. You got a little flyer or something on your arm.
Oh, nice.
But so I look normal.
Mm-hmm.
But people tell me I'm very different,
mm-hmm.
which I don't want it to get to my head. But, everybody says it, so I guess I ought to believe it, which is interesting as heck.
Yeah.
So apparently I'm easily underestimated, but I always surprise people with the depth of whatever is up there.
Right.
That's kind of cool.
So I'll tell you, again, I think we started this whole conversation this way. You got to watch that movie Sinners, because everything you're talking about, like what you like, that's right up your alley. Now again, it's interesting because it has to do with vampires a little bit.
Really?
But I do think it's within good taste. Yeah. Because there is
like real vampires or humans that practice human sacrifice.
Like real vampires.
Okay.
So like you would have to watch it because again, I think it's a good core. Like the way I explained it, because obviously, like with blues music and like, they depict like, yourself. It's almost like, oh brother, where art thou? It's almost
the
like
story of Robert Johnson.
Yeah, overselling his soul to the devil.
Yeah.
And
I tried. He wouldn't have me. I had to go with Jesus.
But like it's kind of playing off of that of like the idea, or part of the idea is you have this blues player and man, he's good. He can pick it and he's gone with it. And like the idea of like music can summon, spiritual demons and kind of cross, generations and generations. And they do a pretty interesting depiction of that, which was, I am not going to spoil it for you, but it was intriguing how they did it. And I was like,
interesting.
All right. But like, I just found it unique of like how it relayed to kind of that selling your soul to the devil and going down that bad road of what it is. Because again, it's playing off that concept of like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
the 27 Club and the Crossroads.
Yeah, it's just, I think you're going to love it. And honestly, whenever you watch it, you're probably going to text me and be like, yep, that was good.
Yeah.
Because it was funny. I watched it with my buddy and his wife, and they were like, this is interesting. I said, that was right up because of my appreciation for music, I'd put it in my top 25 movies.
Fair enough.
My top, ever.
Damn, okay, I have to watch it. I'll rent it sometime.
Yeah,
I'm sure I could rent it from Prime Video, because I don't have HBO Max or anything.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, you can definitely rent it on Prime Video, because I saw it there, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's so
damn, because the one thing that really attracted me to that movie was I knew it was about, like, old blues music, but also the outfits in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I've really fallen in love with the old 1930s, 1940s American fashion.
Yeah.
The suits the pants that sit at your natural waist with a real roomy fit. Man, I've worn some pants like that, the most comfortable things imaginable.
Oh, I can imagine.
Like I've given up on skinny jeans, and anything that sits at your hips, I can't stand. If it's not sitting at my waist, I don't buy it. Mm-hmm. It's like, girls' jeans. It's like I'm almost tempted to start wearing those because they do a proper cut.
So it's funny you say that. I think Billy Bob Thornton, I think he said in an interview, he actually wears women's jeans.
A lot of them did. All the old 60s rock stars did. All the hair metal guys.
No,
did.
I think he wears them now.
Well,
I think he
wouldn't
still
surprise
does.
me at all.
But also, I know he's eccentric. But like
is that what they're calling it nowadays?
Eccentric. I don't know.
Eccentric. I love them.
I have no clue. But it was interesting because I think it's funny you said that. He was like, they just fit me, because he basically said, I got no ass.
Yeah,
and
that's my problem is I'm thicker than my ex was.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm thicker than a bowl of oatmeal.
Thicker than a bowl.
The greatest quote.
Oatmeal. Man, it's hearing your philosophy is interesting because my philosophy is probably the simplest. It's Joe Dirt, man.
Joe Dirt. I've never seen that movie.
Man, life's a garden, dig it. You just gotta keep on keeping on. What am I gonna do? Quit? That simple.
I like it.
It's so simple. I mean, I got a tattoo that says "Keep on keeping on."
Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, I got about 5 of them, and I know, talking full circle, when I got my 5th one, which is a little baby guitar right there.
Oh yeah,
And
what's that?
So fun, ironically,
Because that's my initials.
Oh my God, that is your initials.
JW.
So that's my papa's initials. So he passed away. Oh man, in May. Now it's been 2 years. No, it ain't been 2 years. It's been a year. Yeah. So in May he passed away, and that Christmas before, which was what, 6 months, we'll say, 6 months before, I said, "Hey, Papa, I want you to draw me a tattoo."
He drew that?
So yeah, so he drew his initials.
Okay.
And so I got his initials and put a guitar pick on it.
Oh, that's
and so whenever I also, so it was like Friday the 13th, like that special, like $20 tattoo.
Yeah.
So I thought it was fitting to put a little mini guitar right next to it. And I said, all right, he can play music with me.
Oh.
So whenever I play,
love that.
Whenever I play, he can play too.
That is sweet. That is really beautiful.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was that was probably as philosophical as I got in me. I was
Fair
like,
enough.
I was like, it just made sense to me. I was like,
Well,
put it there.
If you want to get into some, I guess it would be spiritual occultist stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen Eyes Wide Shut, that Stanley Kubrick movie with
Yes.
Tom Cruise?
Yes.
Dude, I think I've heard the story. Initially, it was supposed to be a pedophilic cult, not just like a sex cult, not just an elite sex cult. It was supposed to be pedophilia, but they were like, nah, it's too much. We can't do that.
Right.
But all the occult stuff and the conspiracy theories of like the elites and their sex parties fascinate the hell out of me.
So it's funny. I'm such an old man, dude. Like, I have to fall asleep to Andy Griffith's show
Fair enough.
because
I love it.
I don't know. So like, I have a blanket that I got for Christmas, and it has the Andy Griffith Show like on it. It has
Nice.
like Andy, Barney, and Opie, and it has the logo. And I said, that's my blanket.
Yeah.
I'll sit there. I'm like, I don't care what blanket you get, but this is mine. I ain't
Yeah.
dealing with it. But like, dude, I've been into like heavily in modern westerns because
yeah.
I think there's, the technology has changed in terms of the cinematography and all that, and like Hell or High Water is still one of my favorite movies.
Hell or High Water. Who was in that?
Jeff Bridges, I believe.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm blanking on the other main character guy. He played. He starred in the new Star Trek. Oh man,
Was Woody Harrelson in that one too?
Woody Harrelson was with the Highwaymen. That's what I think you're
Okay.
talking about. Woody Harrelson, I don't think was.
Oh yeah, maybe. And then there was True Grit that Jeff Bridges was in.
Yeah,
the new
Jeff
version
Bridges
of
was
that.
in that one. But he's been in a lot of westerns actually.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah, but
He knows how to play those dirty old men.
Yeah, but it was Hell or High Water. But I also liked it because of the soundtrack.
Really?
That was first introduction to Sleeping on a Blacktop, Coulter Wall, because that was in there, and I went, I said, I'm sold on this.
Damn, that's one of my favorite songs. I always felt kind of trapped living at home, even when I was like 13, 14. So before I could drive and, kind of escape, I would go on walks. So I'd just start walking somewhere. And there was one day I was out riding my bike. I think I did 10 miles or something that day on a mountain bike. Not the right bike to do it, but
Yeah.
I was just heading away from the house, and eventually it started raining. And so it was 42 degrees, and it was raining. And I was wearing just a flannel and some jeans and cowboy boots too, some Tacovas.
Ooh.
But so I was completely ill prepared for 42 degrees and raining.
Mm-hmm.
And how I kept myself from, I don't know if I could have gotten hypothermia, but it felt like I could have. How I kept myself going, walking back in the 42 degree rain, I think 3 or 4 miles back to my house, I was singing on repeat. Sleeping on the Blacktop and The Devil Wears a Suit and Tie.
Oh man,
And that's how I stayed sane.
I can imagine, dude.
And I got home, it's like, when your hands get so cold you can't close them fast?
Oh yeah,
So that's how my hands were. It's like just slow motion. It's like I knew I got them a little cold.
I'll tell you something funny. I actually saw Culture Wall live.
Really?
He was in Montgomery, Alabama.
When was that?
December or November last year.
So this is recent. This is when he's doing
Yeah.
the cowboy stuff.
Yeah, well, I think he stopped doing cowboy stuff because he only tours during like the winter months because
Okay.
I don't think there's much going on. I think that's like his tour schedule. It's like, hey, I got my 5-6 months or 5 months when it's cold.
Yeah.
You know, up there in Canada.
Yeah, the cattle probably aren't doing much but eating.
Yeah, so it's like I can do that. But like when it warms up, he's doing all that kind of stuff. But it was so funny listening to that concert because that from start to finish it was so traditional, and I was like, this is now granted it was late and I was kind of tired and I about fell asleep, but because I was again, we were in the auditorium, you were sitting down, you listen to it, and you're just listening to music, and I'm like, there's no theatrics to it, there's no anything.
Yeah.
But the best part that I liked was there was about 4 songs everyone knew of Culture Walls. That was it. Every other one, I was like, he was playing High and Mighty. I was like, ooh, I'm in that. You know, and all those other deep cuts and stuff off his new albums, and I'm like, everyone's just ready for Caroline, Something on Blacktop, like those kind of songs. Motorcycle, $13, and I was like, they're just waiting for those major hits.
That's the thing that I'm realizing is it's really hard to rebrand as an artist later in your career because especially when you strike gold like he did, that first album, Imaginary Appalachia, that's again one of the greatest albums ever produced.
Yeah.
And it was so simple. Apparently that was just him, guitar and kick drum or something like that.
Yeah.
Stupid simple. And yet it made some of the greatest country songs ever.
And the thing is he also took 2 classics, Big Iron and Cowpoke.
Yeah.
And he almost made cowboy fun again. Cowboy.
Yeah.
Well, especially like Cowpoke, you're like, man, it's like it's fun to be a cowboy. It's fun to dream like that. It's fun.
I'm lonesome, but I'm happy. I'm rich, but I'm broke. And the good Lord knows the reason. I'm just a cowpoke.
It's storytelling, man.
Oh,
That's what. But again, I think when you have that song and that storytelling of just music in general, it just transcends. And again, I think one of my Mount Rushmore pieces is Marty Robbins.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, Marty is a storyteller through and through.
Yeah, Mr. Shorty, Cowboy in a Continental Suit. Some of the best songs. I love them.
And so, like, I have him on vinyl.
Yeah,
ironic.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I got a lot of that stuff on vinyl. Now that I'm thinking about it. I got a lot of vinyls. So, like, so you have all that, storytelling. It's just, again, it transcends because, again, obviously there's a lot of people that does a cover of it and puts their twist on it. But, like, when you get someone like a Culture Wall, it's like at this point, it's like it is a Marty Robbins song, but like, all right, man, it's kind of your song too at this point.
He does it's like what Johnny Cash used to do. They have such a unique style that when they take a song, it's almost like an entirely new song.
Yeah.
If I were to cover, somebody's song, because I could probably sing like them, then it'd just be like, oh, it's a cover.
Yeah.
But when Culture Wall does a song, it's like, dude, it's unmistakably different.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because, like, sometimes I read, like, the top 10, top 20, like, all those kind of list things. And Whiskey Riff is one of the, things I read on. And they're like, hey, like, here's 10 times that the cover's probably better than the original. And Tennessee Whiskey was not on there, which I'm glad. Because I'm like, those are 2 different styles. I get it. Yeah. One of them was...
and that's low-hanging fruit, too.
Yeah, it's like, all right, that's a stretch.
Been there, done that.
I'm like, it's good, but that's still a stretch. I wouldn't put that on there. But one of those was those American recordings from Johnny Cash, Hurt.
Yeah, Hurt, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's definitely way better than the original.
Have you heard the original?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like slow and real ethereal, not very grounded. And it's a good song, but Johnny Cash really brings it home.
So it's funny, this is my hot take on it. With Johnny Cash, I like his later stuff more.
Really?
And I think it's because of where he was at in his life. But again, it's that raw, real, and it's that emotion. His song "Redemption Day." Oh man, that was so good. Like, but again, it was vocals and not. It wasn't overly produced.
Exactly.
And
That's
and I think that's why I like field recordings and like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. You know, because in those imperfections, because you hear it and you
Yeah.
hear the emotion, you hear the rawness and the realness in their voice.
Yeah, and that's the thing I love about Rick Rubin as a producer is he knows when to take a step back as a producer and just let the song be.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think as a lot of producers nowadays are getting famous. So it's like a producer starts producing a bunch of artists and they all start sounding the same because it's the producer's style.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Rick Rubin really, his goal was to kind of nurture the artist's idea and bring it to life rather than bring his idea to life through the artist. And he knew when to take a step back and to just let the art shine.
Right. That's just, I love music, man. There's no way
Yeah.
around it, man. It's just so cool of everything that happens with music.
It's a true blessing. I love it too.
It's, you know, and it's, again, it goes back to that saying, 3 chords and the truth.
Yep.
And if you have that, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
You know, and it was funny. I had this conversation with someone, like, they were talking about, like, playing the guitar and this and that. And I'm like, look, I'm like, I'll learn eventually,
Mm-hmm.
to do that. I said, but I'm happy with the chords I have. I'm happy that I can, like, if I had a guitar, we could sit around here and play a couple songs, chime in, do that. Just like that. That's fun for me. Like I'm not gonna be a recording artist by any means, but like if we can just sit around, like, shoot the breeze and everything, like that's all I want to do.
Yep.
Like that's all I want to do with music, because that was entertainment for people. Again, going
Before
back to
cell
your
phones.
going back to your
Yeah.
dang gut storytelling, like the Western lifestyle, and in the way you convey that with your voice and your songwriting. I mean, that's just it, man.
I mean, hell, you can hear the crickets chirping. You can hear the crackling of the fire. You can just imagine sitting on your bed rolls as you finished up dinner. The cook's cleaned everything up, and just kind of looking at the stars, playing some sad songs. That's been a dream of mine, and I don't know if we can. I guess we can still experience that, but it's a lot harder. It's not so much a natural way of life anymore to live like that. You have to make a conceited effort to go out west to that BLM land and sit around a fire with your friends. But man, that's a romantic dream of mine.
Speaking of dreams, what's the ultimate dream for you in terms of music?
Got to figure out how much I want to tell. Here's the ultimate dream, and this transcends music. And I don't tell this to most people, so you're getting the scoop on this.
Okay.
It's like my first podcast ever. I figure I'll go all out.
Okay.
Lay the foundation for my life. There's a story in the Old Testament where Solomon, they've built the temple and he's dedicating the temple to God. And that story really struck me, and probably one of the aspects of the story that is commonly looked over but really stuck with me was when he dedicated the temple to God. He was in front of all the assemblies of Israel. Mm-hmm. And I figure if this is King Solomon, supposedly the richest and wisest man of all time, I bet there's a lot of people from other countries visiting for this event, even non-Jews who are like, oh, we don't believe in Yahweh, but still, we got to check this out. In front of all the assemblies of Israel, and probably a lot of foreign dignitaries, kings, queens, royals, etc., he dedicated the temple to God. He humbled himself before God and was telling, I don't know if literally or tacitly, sadly I was not there, he told everybody, as great as I am, as wise as I am, as wealthy as I am, though I'm a king in that you bow before me, there's somebody that I bow to. There's somebody greater than me. Mm-hmm. And that's my dream in life. I want to reach the upper echelons of music, of business, of life in general. If I don't know where God will put me in life, but I'd like to go as high as He'll allow me to go. And still, in spite of my status, in spite of what people think about me, in spite of the achievements I made in life, that I still get on my knees and say, as good as you think I am, there's somebody even greater than me. And I really think that would be my magnum opus of proclaiming the gospel to the world, of when you, I mean, it's all about advertising and branding. Like, this is a traditional archetype. When somebody that you respect promotes a product, you're going to use the product as well. And I use that figuratively in this situation of, if a lot of people in this world come to love me and come to love my music and see me as a friend, see me as maybe a mentor or a father figure or anything like that, by the mere fact that I bow before God, people are going to see that. And they're going to, even atheists are going to wonder, what's up with that? Why? Why are you doing that? Maybe it's something I need to look into. And one of the greatest commandments that Jesus gave us was to proclaim the gospel to all the nations. And so even past music, if I were not a musician, I'd probably be a preacher. And so I really feel like that's how I can glorify God, is reach the upper echelons of this world in my career and still bow before God and show the world that there's somebody greater than me.
I think you're doing it already, man.
I hope so. It feels arrogant as hell to say.
Dude, I think you're doing it already, and that's just, wow. That's
how I feel too.
Wow. That's freaking awesome. Dude, I don't know what else to say. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's the magnum opus.
That's it. That's awesome.
I'm not allowed to die until that happens.
Man. Holy crap. If you would have told me 2 hours ago that we would be having this type of conversation on this podcast, I would have said you were damn lying to me. Like, there's no shot. I doubt we would. I mean, we're going to talk music and go about our day, but man, that's powerful. That's amazing. I love that. That's
the most important thing to me. I've always realized, I guess, what is that flying around? Oh, that's cicada. I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, I hear them buzzing right now.
I guess they want to hear the story too.
I guess so.
If men were not we're not worshiping the Lord, then the rocks would.
Yeah.
But those cicadas. But God has blessed me greatly in my life, in that He has humbled me. And I'm not going to say that I've had a harder life than anybody. I think I've had a very easy life. But in spite of that, I've had my suffering, and in those moments, God has exposed how, I guess, feeble I am as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And He's broken me down to the point that I've come to the realization that at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is my relationship with God. And if God came to me one day and said, your greatest love in this world is music, give it up and follow me, there'd be no hesitation. I would give music up. I'd stop playing tomorrow if it meant I could be with God.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had those nights where I don't drink or anything. I don't do drugs, but I've been more sober than sober. And I'm just broken. I'm distraught. I'm crying. I'm weeping. And it's in those moments that I realize the only thing that I'm after in this world is God. And I try to find God in many places. I have my vices. I have my addictions. I have, I love women a little too much. I love, certain things like that a little too much. Give me a single mom and it's great. But at the end of the day, I realize what I'm trying to do is to fill that God-shaped hole in my heart. And that's all I'm trying to do. And I have my stupid ways of attempting to do that, and it never fills it, of course.
Right.
But in those moments when I'm more sober than sober, I realize that I just want God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm so comfortable with the idea of death, because I don't see it as death. I see it as going to be with the only person that has ever loved me unconditionally.
Mm-hmm.
Because even a mother's love is on the condition that she's your mother. A mother doesn't just love all children, she loves her children. That's a condition. God loves everybody unconditionally. God loves me unconditionally. And my whole life is in pursuit of love, and it's in pursuit of God's love and that relationship with God. And that's when the rubber hits the road, that's the only thing I really want in life.
Dude, I don't think there's anything I could ask you or could even bring up. I think dude, I think that's how we end this.
Yeah.
Because that's just so powerful. I mean, I feel like anything I may bring to the table will just, you know, tamper with it, taint it, or or anything. That's just beautiful.
I'm kind of a little shaky after saying all that, because that is me at my core. That is, you strip back every layer, every layer of the onion, as Shrek says. That is me at my core. That is the most vulnerable side of me. I don't tell that to most people, because
Right.
most people are like, you're crazy.
Right.
But that's me, and I really appreciate you for giving me this platform to get to tell that to people, because I didn't know it was going to come to this either. I thought we were going to talk music and go about our
I mean,
days.
we did. We talked music. I don't even know for how long. I keep looking. I'll be honest.
What time
I think
is it? We started around 7:51 and it's 9:43. That's about 2 hours.
Close to 2 hours. I don't even know if the cameras are still rolling anymore.
Oh God, I hope so.
I'd
be heartbroken.
If they are, great. I'll clip it and fix it to where it's at. If not, dude, we got the audio.
As long as we have the audio.
We got the audio. That's all I'm worried about. The cameras are
Secondary.
extra. Yeah, like that's extra. As long as I have the audio for all this stuff, like 90% of people when they listen to podcasts are gonna they're gonna end up driving with it and everything. And I think dude, I just don't even know how to even end it. I mean, I guess first off, man, I appreciate you just coming out here and hanging out with me. And
I love this opportunity, and to carry that on. That's what I want the world to know me as. When I'm dead, I want people to say he was truly a man after God's heart. And you've given me the opportunity to get to say that in a public way. Because I mean, it's one thing, saying it to a friend here or there or different things like that, but above all else, I want the world to know me as that. And you've given me an opportunity to explain that to people. And so if people remember nothing else from this, I hope they remember that I'm a sinful man. I'm not a good person, but I love God.
I can't say it any better, man. I appreciate you coming out here.
Of course.
By all means, everyone. I just don't know how to end this. Guys, just keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. I like it.